Welcome back to Self-Love Ignited. Today on the podcast, I'm interviewing Melissa Rohlfs, and we have a great conversation all about self-love and specifically related to sort of taking care of your body and your diet and eating sugar and sabotage and all of that good stuff. Now, Melissa is a certified holistic health and life coach, and she helps busy women break free from sugar and stress/emotional eating so that they can be calm, confident, and in control around food, around sugar, around stressful situations in their bodies and in their life. She's committed to empowering women to break free from dieting, emotional eating, and self-image issues so they can ditch the diet mentality and feel empowered in their own skin. Melissa is hilarious. We have so much laughter in this episode. It's a really, really fun one to record, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Jump on in. My name is Katie Allen, and this is Self-Love Ignited. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Self-Love Ignited. Today on the podcast, I'm interviewing Melissa Rohlfs. Melissa, I'm super excited to have you here. This has been like so many months in the making, you and I going back and forth and rescheduling. So we are here. We have made it. Welcome. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, thank you for having me, Katie. I'm excited to be here. And now, like you said, we were back and forth for so long, and now here we are live and in person.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm coming to you from sunny Arizona. I'm a wife. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I'm a holistic health and life coach. And I'm excited to be here and share a little bit of my story today. I think this is such an important topic, and I love what you're doing. So thank you.
Amazing. Oh, my pleasure. This is like my baby. I freaking love doing this. So Self-Love Ignited, right? So we're here to talk about the stories of women like you who have like transformed their relationships with themselves. And I know from you, the tiny little bit that I know, yours has a lot to do with like your body and food and that sort of thing. So Melissa, I would love for you to sort of paint the picture for us, sort of the challenges that you faced with your relationship with yourself and the journey to sort of where you are today.
Yeah. Well, I think, when you put it that way, Katie, of the relationship with myself, I don't really remember a time from when I was younger when I liked myself. I mean, I was always kind of the kid who really wanted everybody to like her. My mom said when I was little, I used to go up to people on the playground and say, will you be my friend? Like I always had this like almost inner need for validation and approval. And I think that was because I didn't really like who I was. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't like how I showed up. Like there was just so much negativity and like self-loathing almost that it wasn't really serving me in any capacity. But I didn't know, because all you know is what you know and what you come from. And I think our environment has, things to do with that. So this carried on throughout life. And after I had kids, I'm like, wow, something needs to change. And there's a whole lot that goes with that. And I can share more if you want me to, but it was more about like my relationship with myself and who I was and how I showed up in the world. And it just hadn't been in a good place. I don't even know that I can say, wow, I really liked myself at that time in my life looking back, which sounds pretty sad now that I say that, because I'm not there anymore and I don't feel that way. But to look back and have that revelation is pretty sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what hindsight does, right? Like when you're in it, it's normal. Like we don't always know that there is something wrong or something off because it's just what you've always known. But once you're out, once you've sort of stepped away and you look back, you're like, how was I doing that? How did I think that was okay? Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you say that you remember back to your childhood and you never really liked yourself, you didn't have that, I don't even know what to call it, but you didn't have like a healthy inner relationship, I guess we could say.
No.
So how did that manifest for you? Did that show up in like your friendships or school or like your like body image? Like how did that, manifest in your life?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because I think for me, part of my coping mechanism, Katie, was to just be the performer. And it's like everything was fine. So I always had on the face and the hair and the clothes and did all the activities and was super involved, got good grades. And really, I think, was hoping subconsciously that if I acted like everything was okay on the outside and I was doing all these great things, nobody would see or feel or understand what was going on in here. So I think it definitely showed up in that way. I was like addicted almost to performing and doing all of the things and being involved in looking good, which then translated into body image as well, because I felt like I had to look a certain way, be a certain way, which is so interesting because another coping mechanism from my childhood was to hide cookies and sweets and candies in my room. I remember being 8 years old and hiding just sugary junk food in my room to eat to self-soothe. So it was hot mess express.
And that, like what you're describing is so common. Like what you're describing is so common, and that's unfortunate. And I hope that it stops being so common, right? I hope that through us talking about this openly, other people, especially mothers who have children, will go, oh, okay, like let's change this, let's change this, because this is not okay.
It's no way to live. It's no way to grow up. It's no way to show up in the world. And I think that's why I'm so thankful that when I had kids, that shifted things for me, because I really tried hard not to recreate that for them. I've probably gone over and above. But I think you're just more aware of what maybe you didn't have and what you needed or what you wish you had. And so it's kind of an opportunity to do things differently, which is beautiful, but I think it needs to be talked about. And I think when people come forward and they share, it gives other people the courage to say, oh, okay, well, I struggle with that too, but I see that she got through it. So that gives me hope. And then it's kind of this ripple effect of people just having the courage to own it, because that's really what we have to do.
Yeah, for sure. So so you were a young person struggling really badly with body image, hiding food, the performer, the like putting on all of the things, right? So because that's not you today at all. Like at all, right? Like you're very confident, you're very calm, like you have like a really beautiful presence about you. So tell us about that in between. What was the sort of unraveling of that and the rebuilding yourself up now?
Yeah, well, the unraveling was motherhood, my friend. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
And I was fine with the first child. I thought I was fine. I really wasn't, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I think the kind of, moment where I fell to my knees was when we had a newborn baby who wasn't sleeping. And then we had a 2-year-old who had some undiagnosed food allergies and some sensory challenges. My husband was traveling for work, and I had gotten diagnosed with PTSD from childhood trauma. And this was all at the same time. And mind you, before that, I was exhausted, wasn't loving motherhood, wasn't really loving the season that I was in. And so I was using my go-to of sugar to stuff those feelings. So living off of the cookies and the candy and the pop and all the things. But that PTSD diagnosis is really kind of what shifted things. I tried traditional medicine. It didn't work for me. I know that it works for some people, but I believe that what works for one doesn't work for all. Just not my story. So went to a naturopath, and she did some vitamin and mineral testing, and we did more of a holistic route, and that really changed things for me. And with our daughter's food allergies, we changed the way that we were eating. And so I believe the combination of my body getting what it needed from the supplements, because my diet was crap, and then starting to change the way that we eat and integrating more whole foods and getting rid of those allergens, that combined with the therapy I was doing really changed things for me. And I started to realize, if I want to be who I want to be to my husband and my kids and how I want to show up in the world, I've got to change myself, because this is on me. It's not on them. It's not their fault that I'm angry and miserable and eating sugar and not being who I want to be. Like, I have to take responsibility, and I have to own this, and I have to follow through and heal.
That is it right there. What you just said is that it's on you and you have to take responsibility. Yeah. That it is easier for so many people to just stay in that, like, the victim mode, right? Like, this is happening to me. The world is happening to me, and somebody else needs to do something. And at some point it is going like, oh shit, there's nobody's coming to save me but myself.
And I think along with that, Kate, like the dynamic I had created in my mind was, oh, Prince Charming is going to come in and he's going to rescue me. So of course I thought my husband, I mean, he should stop traveling for work. And I kept putting all of these things on him that really weren't him. It was me.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say then that therapy and diet changes, were those like the two big things that really shifted everything for you? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's funny though, because with the therapist, she is also a life coach. And so I went to her initially for life coaching because I love coaching. I think that's, where change happens. So I went to her for coaching, but she also had PTSD herself and was also trained as a therapist. And so she identified the PTSD in me. And then we switched from coaching to counseling. But I think she had that blend of coaching and counseling that really was what I needed. Because I had worked through some of the past and we did a little bit more, but I also needed, as far as coaching goes, like the tools and the empowerment to go forward, because I was learning a new way of doing things. And so I think that was just a huge gift that she was certified in both.
That's amazing. You lucked out.
Mm-hmm.
You the right person.
I really did.
The right person came into your life at the right time. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think along those lines, we had a really supportive community as well. I had a great group of girlfriends who I could go to and just be really safe with emotionally. And I think that was also a really big part of the journey.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Would you say, Melissa, like, does this feel like self-love to you? Was this like self-acceptance? Was this self-discovery? Like when you sort of look back at your journey, when you speak about it like this, is there a term or a phrase or something that you most identify with to describe that change?
I think it's self-love, because with that love is that acceptance and that owning, this was what happened to me. I don't have to live from it, but I can go forward with it and in spite of it. So it really does feel like love, because I learned how to take care of myself. I learned how to nourish my body instead of beating it up, giving it a bunch of sugar and toxins and things I thought would make me feel better, and then exercising like a crazy person to try to burn it off. Like that cycle stopped. So I think I really learned how to listen to my body, how to honor my body, how to accept my body and appreciate it. Because if you think about it, our bodies are amazing and they do so much for us, yet there's so much that I think because of societal pressures, we can feel like we don't like our bodies or we don't whatever. And so we don't really appreciate them for all that they do for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Society, I could not agree more. I think society, there's this message everywhere that like our bodies are just here to look a certain way, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Like I almost think now of like how our bodies look is kind of like it's just incidental to everything else, right? Like our bodies are our home. They literally create life. They sustain us. They allow us to, experience love, experience connection, learn so much, like explore the world. Like our bodies are incredible and they work tirelessly for us. And all we can do is tear them down if we're not the quote unquote perfect size, look how, Instagram says we're supposed to look. Yeah.
I did that for a long time. And then I got really sorrowful because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I felt this deep regret that I had treated my body that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you see it though, that's where you can change, right? You do sort of have to have that like moment of, oh, damn, you have to have the aha. Yes. And the aha is where change comes from. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, I would love to hear, because I know that you are a coach, you have your own business, you are out in the world doing amazing things. How has your own personal journey, how did that lead you to coaching? How did that lead you to sort of starting your own business?
Yeah, so it's interesting, Katie, because when I went through like that transformational healing journey, one thing that happened is I changed my diet and my mindset and started to exercise. I lost weight. And of course, what do people say when you lost weight? They praise you because, oh my gosh, you look great. You lost all this weight. And so that was hard for me to wrap my mind around, because I'm like, wait, I didn't notice that I had lost weight. I don't care that I lost weight. This isn't why I'm doing it. Let me tell you how good I feel. Let me tell you how my life is different. Let me tell you about the anxiety and the fear and the self-loathing that's gone because I actually love and care and appreciate myself and my body. Let me tell you about that. So it was this weird disconnect. And so I was like, where is that breakdown? Like, why are people so focused on the external and the body? And I want to tell them about the inside. And so found the Health Coach Institute and loved everything I saw. I love that they integrated health and life because I think they're interconnected, obviously, for my story. And so I went to become a coach because I saw this missing piece in the world. People just associate the food with the weight and how we look, and there's so much more to it than that. And so I wanted to learn how to help people who are where I was, because I think we have that, association with food and weight, and we don't recognize the other impacts that food has on every other facet of our being.
Yeah. Yeah. Food is not just calories in, right? Food is so much. Food, it sustains us physically. It affects, mental, like our mental state. It affects our emotions. It affects every single thing. It's like community. It's what brings people together. It nourishes your soul. Like it's beautiful. I love that that's the work that you're doing. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little bit passionate about that.
Which I love.
But I mean, yeah, like when you're talking about body image and stuff, a lot like this comes up, right? Like the relationship with food. And it pains me how many people are still just focused on calories or macros or whatever the thing is, right? Grams of carbs or protein and like, sure, all of those things exist, but you're sort of missing the whole point.
Totally. And, I think it really grieves me when people are like, I have to eat because if I don't eat, I won't live. But I don't want to eat because it's too much work and it takes up too much brain space. And it's become this like thing that people don't want to do because it's too much work, because they're not really taught how to listen to their bodies and honor themselves. They're trying to do the fat and the plan. And it's just this huge missing link.
Yeah. It really is. So how is it that you work with clients right now? Are you doing one-on-one coaching? Are you doing group coaching? What does that look like?
Yeah, right now I'm doing one-on-one. I am getting ready to do a 3-week sugar program. That'll be group format, but I feel like the one-on-one is really kind of the sweet spot, because when you are talking about body image and emotional eating and sugar, it gets kind of personal, because a lot of times there are past hurts and wounds and things maybe people haven't talked about before, and they need a safe space where they can do that. So right now it's primarily one-on-one.
Beautiful. And I will, for anybody who's listening, all of the links to get in touch with you are going to be very obvious in the show notes. So, because I mean, I think the work that you do is just, it's so important. And, like you said, it's like you're helping women who it's like where you used to be. And the beautiful thing is that you've experienced the change. You know what life is like on the other side. It's pretty damn awesome.
And I want everybody to feel that, because, when we were talking earlier about the hindsight, like I didn't realize how bad I felt. Like, Katie, by the time my husband would get home from work, I would be curled up in the couch on fetal position because I was exhausted and I couldn't make dinner. Like I was done for the day at like 5:30 p.m. Like, yeah, wow. Yeah. But I just thought that's how it was. I was a tired mom. I don't know. Like now I'm not. Yeah. It's totally different. I want everybody to be
here. Right. So how would you say that your energy is like through the roof, right? Like you've totally transformed that. What is your mental health? Like what happens inside your head? Like, how is that? Has that changed just as drastically as your energy levels? Yeah.
Night and day difference. I used to be the biggest snoozer in the world. Like I would hit snooze. I used to hit snooze so much in college that my sorority sisters were like unplugging the alarm. Like I had a really bad problem, but now I wake up before the alarm. I'm energized. My brain is clear. I'm excited to face the day. I feel like I can look at the day and figure out what I need to do when, instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I had to be here. Like I just am more clear-headed. My emotions are more in check. The littlest things really used to trigger me. I was a really angry mom before, and now my kids are like, I remember when you used to be angry, but you haven't been angry in a really long time. So night and day difference in so many ways.
I love that that's what your kids say. How no, but I mean, just how beautiful though that they can see it too, and that you are setting this example for them. Like it's not normal to be angry all the time. Like you don't have to live like that. Of course we have our good days and our hard days. Like that's normal, but you don't have to be the angry mom, and they don't have to live with the angry mom anymore.
No. And they'll tell you what I was angry about. It was an Elmo balloon. They're like, remember when you got really angry about the Elmo balloon going up to the ceiling? And I'm like, why do you have to remember that? Like, can't we just like brush that away?
Yeah, kids, right? Their brains just grab onto like the little things that you're like, please forget that. Please forget that. Nope. It's right there, front and center.
Yep. But then they won't remember like the really amazing thing that you did.
Yeah, no, because it's not important. There's no space for
Right.
that in their brains. Yeah,
Nope.
clearly. So I want to know if there's somebody listening to this who is like a version of your younger self, like they are where you used to be. Maybe they are still really, eating sugar all the time and binging on it. Maybe they are over exercising. Maybe they are just hating, who they are, what they see in the mirror, like really in that really shit place that you were in for quite some time. If there's somebody listening who really identifies with that, is there like a bit of advice or an exercise or a practice or like something that you would recommend sort of to get them started down the path of self-love?
I think the first thing, Katie, that I had to do was I had to recognize that I mattered and that I was worth taking care of. And so I would tell that person that you matter and that you're worth taking care of. And that might be really beneficial to write out, might be really helpful if there are some meaningful words or phrases that will remind you of your worth and your value and that you matter. Plaster that all over your house, put it in your car, put it on your screensaver on your phone, but have that visual reminder that you matter, you're worth taking care of. So that would be a visual way. I think another, if somebody's an Audible learner, I would suggest tuning into podcasts like yours, tuning into some ways that they're hearing that same affirmation. I mean, heck, if you wanted to, you could record your own affirmation saying, I matter, I'm worth taking care of, and just repeat that over and over, because where the mind goes, the man follows. And if you believe that you matter and you have value, you're worth taking care of, you're going to invest in yourself, you're going to show up, you're going to treat yourself differently.
I love that. And that is so true. I definitely agree, but also that's just so accessible, right? It doesn't always have to be these absolutely massive, mega huge, terrifying changes. It's like sometimes the little changes, the baby steps are really what can change everything.
Yeah, because we know that small hinges open wide doors, girl. I mean, like, that's true.
We sure do. We sure do. And the more change you need, the smaller steps you need to take, because each one of those steps can be scarier. So like break it down, little things. Yeah. Like that little post-it on your mirror that you read every morning really can change. It can change you in that moment. It can change your morning. It can change your day. And when you start changing little things, it changes your whole life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you have to have the belief that you're worth taking care of. That's where it all starts, is a belief.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One other thing I'm really curious about is when your relationship with yourself changed, when all of the sort of internal stuff within you shifted. I know you've already said that your children have seen a big change in how you're showing up as their mom. How did this impact how you showed up in other areas of your life? How did this impact your marriage, other relationships, how you, just how you showed up in your work? Obviously you have a business now, but like, what were the flow-on effects, I guess is my question.
Yeah, I think I've become more calm. I've become more confident. My husband would say I've become more assertive.
Yeah.
But I don't sit in a meeting or in a group discussion anymore and have that thought in my head. Should I say this? Should I not say this? The second guessing of myself is gone. And I just, if I think it and it seems relevant, I will say it, which is not always, the best thing, but it's not this back and forth of, do I speak up? Do I not speak up? It's just, if I have this question, somebody else probably has it too. So I'm going to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, because that means that you've gotten rid of your fear. The second guessing is gone. And that fear is debilitating in our lives. Yeah.
And I think too, Katie, I think the biggest thing, and this is probably from Health Coach Institute, is I've replaced my self-judgment with curiosity. Yeah. Because I was always curious. I mean, I remember being really curious as a kid and, stop asking questions. You're asking why too much. Stop. Because it was almost like it was shut down.
Yeah.
And so that kind of brought that back out again. So I think I've become more curious, or curious again.
Yes. If like, man, HCI, life-changing. Like it makes us, it makes us really good coaches, but also like just totally life-changing on a personal level, isn't it?
Absolutely, which
Yeah.
then changes how we view people and the world around us.
Yeah, it sure does. I know that curiosity, like I feel like every one of my clients and every one of my friends is probably like this girl and her like going on about curiosity, but it's true. Like
Absolutely.
it's true. Like replacing judgment with curiosity is simple and it will change your whole life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree. So the takeaway is replace judgment with curiosity.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So I just want to know, is there anything else that feels really important before, as we're sort of getting ready to wrap up? Do you have any other bits of advice or words of wisdom or like anything else that you want to add for any of the listeners out there?
I think there's this perception in society that if you love yourself, that you are cocky or you're arrogant or are a female dog in the version for women. Like there's just, I think, a negative stigma almost attached to it. And that goes along the lines of self-worth, like, or self-care, like that you're selfish if you care for yourself. And I just think that's BS. Like, can we just call it what it is? Because when you love and accept yourself, you show up different in the world. And I think it's the people that love and accept themselves that are the people that are in the arena, and they're the ones who are making a difference in the world. And so if you get caught up in that mindset of, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or this is selfish, or I'm a bad person. No, you cannot pour from an empty cup, regardless of what your role is. If you're a parent, if you're not a parent, if you're an employee, if you're a boss, whoever you are, you're serving somebody, you're interacting with people. You cannot serve and be the best version of yourself when you are dry and empty. So it is okay to love yourself. It's okay to care for yourself. You are worth taking care of. And that's my soapbox.
Yes, like mic drop right there. You've done it. You snuck in a little Brene Brown like thing in there. Totally caught that. I love her.
I do too. And that quote like is so true. So true.
Yeah. Yeah. I will. I'm gonna make sure to add that to the show notes, because if I try to actually say the whole quote right now, I'll butcher it.
That's why I alluded to it.
I love it. We're on the same page. So good. Okay, Melissa, I think we are going to end it there. It has been absolutely such a joy to speak to you. I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing yourself with us and sharing your story. And, I love what you're about. I love your mission. You're so inspirational, and I'm just really grateful for you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. And I feel the same about you. I love your mission. I love your vision. I love what you're doing. So keep doing it, my friend, because it is very, very needed. So thank you.
All of the links mentioned during the episode are down in the show notes. Please make sure to go on over and check them out. Also, please remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and I would be forever grateful if you would go on over and leave us a review on iTunes as well. That's going to help this message reach more women. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Here is to you loving yourself.